am Kamer Tom Witness 1, and today we are going to touch upon incitement to violence, and also one other matter. To start with the other matter first, there was a hearing today in the case of Florida versus Field McConnell. There was a motion to dismiss that was entered into the hearing today, and the motion to dismiss was denied. The case is going to move forward. Now, I may, I may get into a little bit more detail about this on my Saturday murdathon, as well as to get into more detail about the incitement issue I'm going to talk about right now. Now, it was reported to me that on Facebook there were a couple of posts made by Randy Erickson, who is the handler for a rather peculiar conspiracy nut who makes all kinds of outrageous claims and accusations against individuals, including me. And what was posted was that Randy Erickson and her so-called group are going to post license tag numbers, personal addresses, and personal information on the internet. Now, this is a practice of what is known as doxing. And it is a weapon that is used by such groups as Anonymous, or in this case, QAnon, to target certain individuals for various reasons. Now, in the doxing that Miss Erickson proposes, she makes claims that we are involved in child trafficking, eating babies, drinking their blood, harvesting endochrome, or however you pronounce that chemical, and all sorts of gory, vicious, satanic crimes, as well as human trafficking, human slavery, kids in tunnels, all sorts of really bad acts that would tend to enrage unstable individuals to the point as to have them take dangerous and illegal actions that may result in bodily harm to those that have been doxed. Legally, this is known as inciting violence or incitement to violence. To get someone so inflamed and so angry about accusations being made against a certain individual that these people would take actions against that individual. In other words, they're taking the law into their own hands. Now, I don't know if Mrs. Erickson realizes it or not, but if some action happens as a result of her posting this information on the internet, she is legally and civilly responsible. If somebody is killed or injured because of something she put on the internet, she could be an accessory to that incident. Now, we are going through a hearing right now in Congress on this exact subject. The former president of the United States is being accused of inciting violence, of being largely responsible for the actions that occurred at the Capitol with the insurrection. Now, it's a separate issue as to whether or not a former president can be found guilty in an impeachment hearing. But what is not separate is the incitement to violence. This is a well-established, well-known criminal statute. If you are somehow responsible in inciting violence against anyone or any business, this is considered a criminal act, and you are liable under the law. So I guess this can be considered a warning to Miss Erickson that if anything happens because of her threats to anyone, she's going to be charged criminally. And as an extension to this, I don't think Mrs. Erickson is aware of Florida law and laws in various states regarding self-defense. And the law, especially in Florida, called the Stand Your Ground Law, and a subset of that is the Castle Doctrine, states that if an individual is threatened or feels threatened of bodily harm or health and safety or loss of property and so forth, they have the right to defend themselves. And this includes deadly force. So some anger-crazed idiot comes knocking on certain individuals' doors in the state of Florida with criminal intent, they can be met with deadly force. And if this happens because of the rhetoric that has been displayed on Mrs. Erickson's Facebook page, she now could be charged as an accessory. Now, by merely retracting the statement off Facebook or making some statement like this was a joke or I'm just kidding is not going to let Mrs. Erickson off the hook. It's already happened. The threat is out there. There are people that follow Mrs. Erickson and her companion that are already incentivized to commit these acts. They've expressed that. There has already been results of these actions stated on Facebook in the last 24 hours. So it's too late for her to take corrective action. The only thing she could do at this point is probably seek out the services of a bar licensed attorney so that she will be prepared for any future violent acts that would have been caused by her making these threats on Facebook and elsewhere. This is one of these things where you get into beware of unintended consequences and to govern yourself accordingly. Mrs. Erickson failed to do that. Mrs. Erickson made the threats. She is threatened to put out the personal information about people on the internet. Now, it is also to be noted here that Mrs. Erickson seems to be fairly proficient at obtaining information that is generally not accessible to the general public. One of the reasons for this is because Mrs. Erickson claims to be a licensed real estate broker. As a result of having that license, Mrs. Erickson has access to information sites that the public ordinarily is not made available to. And these include sites that provide credit information, Social Security information, specific information that is not accessible to the public and is not allowed to be used outside of a specific reason for having this information, such as processing real estate transactions. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it is illegal to give out any credit information or any information regarding private financial matters, Social Security numbers, account numbers for various credit cards, banking information, so on and so forth. It's against the law to do that. So if this information does get out, it can be traced directly back to Mrs. Erickson because of her occupational license. Now, at this point, we don't know if Mrs. Erickson is going to make good on her threat or not. The problem is the threat has already been made. This threat could and probably will incentivize others out there to seek out this information and carry out what they feel is Mrs. Erickson's wishes. Mrs. Erickson has let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. And so now we all wait to see what the results of Mrs. Erickson's actions are going to be. This is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Stay tuned for further developments. And like, subscribe, share, click the notification bell to see further information on these developments as they occur. And have a good one.